So this is going to be a quick trade recap. Why do I always say it's going to be a quick trade recap? What if it's not a quick trade recap? Um, so yeah, hit a sell today, going for buys for EU. Now obviously direction, it was choppy as hell today. Now the direction is shown true, okay? But with my Forex factory playing up, I didn't have the right time zone on. Now we had GBP claimant count at 7, which I don't know. Let's have a look at GBP at 7 as well. Looks like it had a bit of an impact. See if I'd. Now at this time it was showing me 1 a.m. It wasn't in line. I didn't know it was at 7. I've gone and then entered 10 minutes before. I've only figured out why that my time zone needed changing. I've only just sorted it now. I just thought, I don't know. But yeah, let's go look at the entry. So we hop over to the DXY real quick. We'll be able to see that I had this level marked out here. So we're bearish, right? We're breaking lower lows. These are high time frame retracements. High time frame break, sorry, which we'll look for price to retrace to. Now we've retraced. This is late yesterday through the night, and I had this level marked out here. We've come into it. I had this marked out last night as well. We've come into it. We've rejected it, right? Respected it, whatever you want to call it. Very, very much wiki as hell. But we've tapped into it a good few times. So I'm here now. I'm thinking, right, let's try look for an entry. Now, I timed it enter about 6:10. 6:10's there. Now, okay, so the tap that I had seen was this one. That's only small, and nothing too wrong with that. I mean, man, I really could do with a mouse. It's one thing that I'm not paying MacBook price for a MacBook mouse. Yeah, so we had tapped it on the previous candle, but and I heard as well from another trader, another person, another source that trading between, I can't remember what the hours were, but I'll swear it was something like maybe 6, 7 entering positions. It's kind of unfavourable, as I think he called it Frankfurt, and that you get a lot of fake outs happen here. Now, me personally, it's not something I've really took, like, it's not really something I've noticed myself. But only recently have I, you know, gotten better at trading, I guess. And, I do like to enter early positions, but yeah, that's just thought something I'd mention in the video. So, yeah, let's get into breaks and stuff. So we've come up, tapped it. We've come up. Now we haven't closed below this low, really, at all. We've made an internal close, so we've closed below this low. Instantly, with them flew up, and then I've been stopped out. So yeah, it's a little bit sticky. I mean, we are bearish, and I believe I'm bearish, but I think to keep it, I don't want to overcomplicate this, right? My bias was correct. I was bearish, right? My outlook's bearish. I'm not really going to be too bothered about what 1 hour structure is and all of this sort of stuff. I think it just comes down to sort of the entry and how prices just genuinely played out. Obviously, it was very choppy for a while as well. Still is, and then we finally came down. However, the only thing I can say about this entry is that we could have waited for a more significant external low to be closed through, and I mean you only get that here. if you're picking that low, I mean, you know, maybe you pick one of these lows, but that's more or less what's happened here. Like, you've had this low, oh, you've had this low, closed through, but we've rejected this level, and then we've closed through here. Maybe if I go to the 15-minute, yeah, it's very wicky, so we're not really getting any like clean candles, so, and it's August, so, but I thought there'd be more that I could critique on this trade. Really, I took it quite quick in the moment as well. I already had my buy set up from last night, and I viewed price this morning, so I already, you know, was expecting price to come down. I already had my position in mind. I was just waiting for the confirmation. Now, as we tapped the gap, displaced the weight, made, you know, lower high, lower low, lower low. I was like, right, I'm getting in. Stop loss wise, obviously it was tight, this stop loss. It was like 3.8 is quite a tight stop loss. What would it have had to have been to survive? Maybe I was being a bit greedy by trying to have a small stop, like a really small stop. I'm trying to think where I'd put it though. On the dollar, right? I'd put it. I would say top of the gap, but the top of that whole thing got wicked. That high got took. That's another thing to notice. This high, okay. So as much as this level got tapped into, okay. This high got took. This level got took. After this high getting took, let's have a look at the sort of the displacement away compared to this. Let's have a look on EU as well. There's no low that gets taken as significant as this one on here on the dollar. So you got this low, which is more or less that high, but then you got this high, which mainly got took, which is more or less this low. So I guess you could call that, that's where like the SMT is or whatever. Yeah, there's not too much. I don't want to over critique as well. So stop loss was a bit tight. Maybe, you know, allow flexibility with these positions, with these conditions. You know, maybe even just down to here. You know, because that's where the sort of the SMT is, I guess, between these two. But then that's quite a big-ish stop loss. But then it would have kept me in the trade. I don't know. I'm not really too fussed. Or maybe the top, maybe the gap. I don't know. It's just probably one of them losing trades. Really, I don't think there's too much I can really critique because it was right. The direction was correct. Just that price took me out. Only thing I could maybe really say is that news was going to come out at 7 for the pound. Claimant count red folder, which is, you know, not the weakest news in the world. Like, it's, you know, fairly significant. And it would have been a bit more favourable to wait for that. I think maybe also waiting for the 7 o'clock as well. 7 o'clock is like London like pre-market open, if that's what you want to call it. You do get high volatility. You do get strong volume at 7, which we get here. Obviously, taking out a lot of the time, you get like a, if you quote unquote pre-market sweep of Asia high or low between the hours of 7 and 8. A very common thing that I noticed. if your Asia range is, you know, right from midnight to 5:55, 6 a.m. or even 5:30. I think some people do it like that, but you know, you draw out your Asia range like this, price will often take it out. So yeah, there weren't too much thought behind the trade. I don't say too much thought, but there weren't too much thought behind the entry. I just entered. I don't think necessarily a bad entry. I just think it was just one of them losses, which is why I'm not really too fussed. It's nice to see it go in my direction anyway, so that's good. And it sort of signals to me that if I do take any trades for the rest of this week, any positions I do get in, I'll be holding for longer, and just to sort of let the trade run. Like this is more or less an all-day trade, you know, and it's took a long time for it to hit TP. Any sort of movement here to break even would have just done you out, would have done you completely. So yeah, that's pretty much it.